Hello, everyone. My name is Genesis Flores, and the title of my study is What's in the Box? The Effect of Negative Corrections on Children's Belief in Misinformation. Today, more than ever, we have access to information regarding just about everything. Because of this increased access to information, however, we are more likely to be exposed to false, inaccurate information, which can have a number of effects, such as misattributing a quote or even falsely convicting an innocent person. Research on the correction of misinformation has demonstrated a continued influence effect in which belief in misinformation persists even after individuals are presented with a correction. Although there are effective corrective techniques that exist to help reduce belief in misinformation, none are able to eliminate belief in misinformation entirely. In fact, has been demonstrated that attempting to correct misinformation may sometimes have an adverse effect in which the misinformation is remembered as true, particularly when negative corrections are presented to individuals not initially exposed to the misinformation. The present study aimed to test whether this unlicensed or out of context use of negative corrections reinforces misinformation belief in preschool age children. Like adults, children's memories are easily influenced by exposure to misinformation, with preschool age children being especially susceptible. However, there is not much literature regarding misinformation correction in children. 47 children participated in an experimental task that manipulated exposure to misinformation and negative corrections. The task consisted of a slideshow presentation in which the contents of various colorful boxes were discussed by two animated characters. Depending on the condition, one character provided misinformation regarding the contents of the box by saying something such as, "There are marbles in the pink box," or they gave no statement. The second character then followed by providing a negative correction, such as, "Actually, there are not marbles in the pink box," or they gave no correction. After the information about the box was presented, the child was asked what they believed was inside. Their responses were recorded, and affirmative mentions of the misinformation target word were used as measures of misinformation belief. We hypothesized that when children are exposed to the misinformation, negative corrections would reduce belief in misinformation relative to no correction. However, when not exposed to the misinformation, negative corrections were expected to increase misinformation belief relative to no correction. Due to incomplete trials, the data presented here represent 35 out of the 47 participants. Upon completing a 2 by 2 analysis of variance, we found a significant main effect of exposure to misinformation, with increased affirmative mentions when participants were exposed to the misinformation compared to when they were not. We also found a significant main effect of negative corrections, with increased affirmative mentions when participants received a negative correction compared to when they did not. In addition to these results, we found a significant interaction between exposure to misinformation and negative corrections. This interaction revealed that when exposed to the misinformation, children referenced the misinformation target word less when a correction was provided, demonstrating that negative corrections can work against misinformation when given within context. However, when the children were not exposed to the misinformation, they referenced the misinformation target word more following the unlicensed negative correction. In this case, the negative correction given out of context reinforced the misinformation belief to an extent that was comparable to receiving misinformation and not having it be corrected. This finding supports our hypothesis by demonstrating that the effect of negative corrections on children's belief in misinformation largely depends on prior exposure to misinformation. These findings not only address a gap in literature regarding misinformation correction in children, but also have the potential to inform the development of more effective corrective techniques that can be used by parents, schools, courtrooms, news media, and anyone else interested in disseminating accurate information to mass audiences.